Welcome to the Woman's Hustle, Thrills and Spills of Entrepreneurship. I'm Keisha, aka Coach K, the founder and CEO of Upgraded Mindsets, and this podcast will bring you real, raw, and necessary conversations when it comes to the unique journey of womanhood, launching, and building a business. Expect mind-shifting, motivational insight, valuable lessons, and so much more. So whether you're just starting or scaling up, the Woman's Hustle will prove to be a great inspiration as you navigate the roller coaster ride of learning what it takes to start and scale your business. Tune in and let's get to hustling. Hey guys, welcome back to the Woman's Hustle, Thrills and Spills of Entrepreneurship. It is your girl, Coach K, and thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, check it out. Before we get started, you know what I'm going to ask, right? Make sure you are subscribed to the Upgraded Mindsets media channel. If you are listening on audio, then make sure you are subscribed, favoriting on your favorite podcast streaming platform, okay? So you don't miss an episode, all right? But if you see my beautiful face, then you see that I am not here by myself. So I'm going to allow my guest the honors of introducing herself. Hello.
Hi, I'm Francie Heinrichson, founder of Founding Females.
Yes.
Founding Females we're an organization that helps women take the next best step, whatever that looks like. So women who are just getting in entrepreneurship and they're trying to figure out if it's the route they want to go, all the way to women who are focusing on increasing profit margins and scaling their business.
Oh, you know, I'm so happy to have her here, y'all. This is what it's about. You know, this is the Woman's Hustle. So why not have an expert in that right here with us? So thank you so much for being here. It is such a pleasure.
Well,
And I'm lucky to vibe with you today. So I'm excited about it.
You're a ray of sunshine, and you just
Oh.
bring the vibes wherever you go. We met recently at a lunch and learn. You were sitting across the table, and every time you spoke, my ears perked up. So I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Let's get it, y'all. Okay. So Francie kind of gave you a little bit of what she does, you know, but I kind of wanted to dive a little bit in. Like, what got you started with this, sis? What got you into where you are today?
Well, I don't know if your story aligns with this, but I always knew I was going to be an entrepreneur. In fact, when I was about 7 years old, I took a sign language class from the local library, and I came home and I basically reiterated exactly what I had learned, and I charged all my friends in the neighborhood to come take the class from me. I just have always had that interest in creating some kind of value and monetizing it. And I thought, as I grew up and began developing my vision of what my career was going to look like, I always thought that entrepreneurship was in the path, but it would be much further along.
Okay.
And so I pursued a career I thought I wanted in the medical spa arena, and it turned out it was not a good fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I flopped hard. I mean, I really failed in that position. I was a manager of people. I was not cut out for that position. And really, it shook me to my core to go out and pursue this vision that I thought I wanted, and failed miserably at it. And I did some soul searching at that point and thought, there has to be more to life than this, you know, and in my head, I was thinking, I will do anything except this.
Right.
And so I had to give a 90-day notice. I gave my 90-day notice and ended up starting a business out of my apartment in Peoria, Illinois. And I thought, you know, I've got the business knowledge, and I'll walk alongside entrepreneurs and small business owners, and I'll help them do whatever they want done. So I started as a virtual assistant, a VA, which gave me the bearings to run an online business.
Right.
Understanding how to get a presence up online. You know, I did a lot of things that didn't work. I did a ton of cold calling. I dropped off folders of printed information at businesses. I did a lot of things that did not work.
Right.
It opened my eyes to running a business online. And so in running a solopreneur business by myself, I put myself in a position to network with other female entrepreneurs, and that was my happy place. You know, once monthly we'd get together and we'd do coffee, and it just brought life out of me, and I looked forward to it every month. So as I created this community around me of people who were doing the same things, making a living the same way I was, finding out the struggles, the thrills and the spills, right?
Absolutely.
I continued working with clients, and so there was this, I saw this need for guidance and camaraderie and community among the female entrepreneurship community. And so I was running my VA business, which was kind of morphing into marketing at that point, and I saw the need for female entrepreneurship. So I heard women, heard them talking about what they needed, but then I was also noticing some really interesting things in the community. Specifically, how it felt like when I went to networking events, it felt like I was following this male written playbook. So, I would show up to a networking event, and it seemed like, there weren't as many women there. Maybe the nighttime events, there weren't as many women there. Or the way that certain things were worded didn't feel aligned with the feminine mindset. And so I started to notice that really the entrepreneurial space was written for men.
Yes, indeed.
And over time, as I've discovered and continue to kind of research and be interested in this topic, realizing women fit businesses in the crack between a lot of other responsibilities, caretaking responsibilities, volunteer, showing up in the community in the way that women are expected to. A lot of times that doesn't align with the 40-hour work week.
Ooh, say it again.
So really thinking about how to help women build a business around their life and not a life around their business has become a passion of mine.
I love it. And I love that quote because that's like one of her infamous quotes. And actually that's probably one of the quotes that triggered me to you. Yes, I love that because I love those type of analogies and stuff like that. Right. And I think that that's so important because, and my story isn't similar, but we still aligned and ended up coming together. Right. I love how you touched on that we don't get to show up for ourselves, and that it's a male dominated world. You are so passionate, y'all. She has her mastermind meetings. I am actually a part of the mastermind community and I love it. Haven't been there long, but let me tell you something. I feel so welcome because there are so many other women there that are passionate, but also share in, just wanting to make sure that we are really supporting each other. And that's definitely what it's about for me.
Yeah.
You kind of touched a little bit on when it comes to us as women. You touched on, us also having to balance home life and, motherhood is a very big one. My children are grown now, but I know that you do have two young queens that, you have, and you also, have a whole family. How have you been balancing that over the years with regards to entrepreneurship and making sure that you're staying purposeful, but also making sure that you're staying intentional and taking care of family and home?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Thank you for bringing this up because I think it's a constant effort.
Absolutely.
I don't think many women ever feel like they've really mastered that side of things.
Yep.
A corporate career entrepreneur, that is one of the challenges I hear the most from the female entrepreneur community is work-life harmony, we call it, right? So it's this blending of our responsibilities that are often unpaid. So childcare, caring for parents, being out in the community, whether it's showing up for your kids' school party and you're supposed to bring the treats or whatever it is. Really a lot of those responsibilities fall on women. And I find myself feeling a deep sense of gratitude to be able to have agility in my schedule. And so what that means is if my child is sick, I have the ability to arrange my schedule differently. The work still has to get done. I often remind the people around me, flexible doesn't mean optional.
That part, because people feel like because we're entrepreneurs that we're supposed to be always available. And that's just not the case.
Isn't that funny? I have family who, they know I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
They know I've got a business. They know I contribute financially to my family.
Right.
but yet somehow I'm supposed to always be available.
Yes, that is the case. And they're like, oh, I called you. I know. Or I sent you a text. Oh, I know. I'm in the midst because I have policies during my day that otherwise I'm never getting nothing done. If I'm always answering a text or always answering an email or always responding to you guys, I'm never getting nothing done.
I think we really have to become masters of boundaries.
Absolutely.
And that's not easy because
No.
I have found the people who need boundaries the most are the ones who don't like them
Yeah.
the most.
Oh my God, yes.
So that's been really hard as
Yeah.
women, being raised to be a yes person. Yes, I'll do that for you. Yes, throw that on my back. I've got that. I'll make sure it gets done. That's part of what makes us excellent entrepreneurs because
Absolutely.
we operate at a high standard
I agree
and
with that.
we know we'll get it done well.
Yep.
But it's also balancing other people's needs with our own needs. And I don't know that we have a ton of examples of women who set boundaries and aren't ostracized for it.
Yep.
And so I think that's a really hard part is paving a path we've never seen
Yep.
before.
It is breaking those societal stigmas. I am so adamant about doing that because I used to be that people pleaser. I used to be that person that was always available, and because I had to say no a lot, it definitely, fractured a lot of relationships and things like that. But I had to always remember, and this is something that I want all of us to remember, is it has to boil down to us first. We have to be our number one priority because if you're not, you can't pour from that empty cup. Y'all hear that a lot. We hear that a lot. I don't even want your cup to be half full. I want you to be doing what it takes to make sure that your cup is full. So when you do have to pour, it doesn't get empty. You still have enough to be able to balance that effectively. But I try to master the boundaries, but I think because of our life always evolving, I don't think that we'll ever master that. So I love that you even said that because I don't. But I think that it's great to remain purposeful and intentional in making sure that we continue to strive to be our most effective selves,
So my natural tendency is I'll take care of that. I'll do it, throw it on my back, add it to my list. I've got it.
Yep.
But I have found so much peace in teaching people to fish. So whether it's a client, I find a lot of fulfillment in teaching clients how to get results. And I know that that's, if I teach them how to do it, they don't need me. I get that.
Right.
That's part of the walking in my purpose, part of entrepreneurship. And the other thing is when it comes to the personal side of things, teaching those people to fish. If somebody's always asking you where the spatula is, you go and you show them it's right here, or whatever it may be, the things that people rely on us for, I've tried to teach myself to say, can I teach this person how to get that result? Can I teach this 6-year-old how to pour her own milk and not lose when it spills all over the counter, and it's that inner work that we've got to do because we can't buy into the lie that we have to do everything.
Absolutely.
That it won't be done well unless we do it. And I think that comes from wounds, right? That comes from relying on other people and it not getting done well. But the alternative to that is burnout, pouring from an empty cup, all the things that we don't want to do that either. So, which is the easier of the two? Empowering people can be really fulfilling. So I'm trying to teach myself to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with that so much just on so many levels because I love to empower, but I have to make sure that I'm pouring into ourselves with that too. Like the things that we want to teach others, it's sometimes harder for us to teach ourselves, right? And I know that that's a struggle for me. I don't know if it is for you, but like saying, hey, do this, do this, do this. I can give you a bullet point list and make sure, hey, get it done. But then it's like when it's time for me to do that, it's like, well, maybe if I do it a little bit, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I can bend it a little bit, but I've been retraining myself to make sure that I'm following the same protocols because I'm seeing the effectiveness with my clients, with how we're doing things. And anything that I teach with my clients, it's something I have either attempted for myself, and I might not have been as successful, but it's not something that I'm going to shelve because it's not just me. It's about my community. It's about my clients, so making sure that I do have my policies in place, and they might not always be 100% effective, right? And I think that's what helps us as entrepreneurs too, is understanding that there are going to be some things that might put us put an obstacle in our way, or give us a sense of frustration. Those are emotions that we're supposed to feel, right? I don't think that people want us to suppress those, and I think the suppression comes from the years of doing that. I got it. I can handle it. I don't call myself a strong woman anymore. I classify myself as a woman of strength.
Ooh, I like that.
Because the difference is, a strong woman, people look at it and say, oh, she doesn't need help. She's okay. She's got it. She can handle it. Whereas a woman of strength, I can still be vulnerable. I'd like to advocate for that. And I talk about that now. And people are like, that makes sense. Because I can still be vulnerable. I can still be emotional. I can still be feminine. Because that's something that I didn't identify with for years. So just being on this entrepreneur journey not only has it instilled me and allowed me to grow as an entrepreneur, but as a woman. And I think that's what matters first and foremost.
Yeah. That's something I'm really inspired by with women in entrepreneurship specifically, is that I see women creating businesses, yes, for a paycheck,
Mm-hmm.
but also as a means to walk out this purpose on earth. And a lot of times that is, our businesses help us become who we're supposed to be.
Yes.
And I hear you saying you very much begin to find
Absolutely.
entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. Woo, I have definitely found it. I love it too. People think I was cocky before, and I will use that word cocky, but I don't want to use it in a negative way. But I am very confident in what I do, and I'm just so grateful to be in that space, because I know there are a lot of us who aren't, but that's what we're here for.
Well, we women need examples of that.
Yes, absolutely. So I want you to tell the listeners a little about maybe a thrill that you've had. And you've been on a journey for a while, so it might take you a second to think about one. You might have a couple, but feel free to share. But I would love to hear like a thrill since you've been on your entrepreneur journey.
Well, I would say it goes back to something that we talked about earlier, and that is the ability to be in the driver's seat of my life. Entrepreneurship allows me to contribute financially to my family, to ebb and flow the needs of my family. So I went and watched camp yesterday for my daughter, came home and worked. To jump in and out of responsibilities, I don't see being able to do that when I'm working for someone else's, building someone else's brand. And so I think my thrill is being able to show up in this life how I want to, in a way that builds a brand and supports women at the same time. And the bigger picture of that is Founding Females is one business, but my husband and I, like many entrepreneurs, also have other entrepreneur endeavors. And so it's this constant ebb and flow and fluctuation between, I'll say in quotes, the needs of the business, whichever one that is.
Right.
So I'm able to flex, contract and flex, and show up in the way where I'm needed. And ultimately all leading to the vision of, a family who has good relationships together. That's first and foremost. Being able to show up in my faith, being able to show up in ways that are meaningful to me in business. So I think personally, that's probably my thrill. But the other thrill I get is being the conduit for women entrepreneurs to bring them together. And so we have something, as you know, called meetups, and I'll explain it. They're in-person gatherings for female entrepreneurs. So once a month,
Love them.
we bring women together. A lot of what Founding Females does, we're online. So our mastermind, like you mentioned,
Right.
is all in a virtual space.
Yes.
I work with clients from all over the country in a virtual space, but there's something magical about bringing women together with eye contact, feeling the vibe, being in the same room, sharing a compassionate nod. Like, I totally get where you're coming from. So the purpose of meetups is to bring women together in a shared space to work through current business challenges. And at every meetup, we ask the same question: what's your current challenge, and how can we as a community help you through it? We know 80% of female entrepreneurs are solopreneurs, meaning they don't have employees.
Right.
And so one of the things, it's great, it's agile,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
But one of the things that's missing is that exchange of ideas
Mm-hmm.
in a space. And so we come together and we ask, what's your current challenge? How can we as a community help you through it? And I might share a marketing challenge, and women pour in with ideas and say, well, when I went through that, here's how I handled it. Or I'm going to connect you with somebody I know. I think they'd be a great resource for you. And so this really valuable exchange of resources and ideas and encouragement once a month, bringing women together.
Love it. Listen, y'all, I went to the first one a few weeks back from when we record this, and I was like, they poured into me so much. When I say I left out of there, and I was like, yes, like, y'all know I'm the hype girl. So, I'm hyping everybody up, but like, to be hyped up, that meant so much to me. For me to come in, because I think my challenge was as far as like giving up control, right? And I know as women entrepreneurs, we face that a lot, and that was one of my things. But for so many women to pour into me, because for one, they could relate, but two, just to give me this valuable insight, that is definitely something that I encourage you as an entrepreneur, whether you are part-time, full-time, you need to make sure that you are finding that community, whatever that looks like for you. It could be a group of 4 of you. I have fellow coaches that we have a group that we meet up with monthly, and we've been doing it for 2.5 years. We don't always talk about coaching stuff. We are supporting each other, so I encourage you to make sure that you have that space, because you are going to need it. Okay. Man, that was so dope. But with the thrills comes the spills. So please share with the listeners a spill or two that, you'd want to share.
Yeah, I want to share my before it worked page. So I encourage female entrepreneurs, all entrepreneurs, there's a point where in your business before it worked. And once you are making a full-time income, once you get momentum, your client book is full, people think that it's always been that way, but we know better.
Right.
And you and Theodora talked about this on the last episode, is that there's a stage where before it worked, you have to do whatever you have to do as long as it aligns with your moral compass. And so I encourage women that looks different for everyone, but the point is the same. It's very challenging. You have to push through it. Entrepreneurship, a lot changes in the first year. So that was my story. I left my full-time job, as I shared previously, gave my 90-day notice, started my business. Mid-year, I think I made like $8,000 for the year or something. And so that wasn't quite cutting it.
Right.
And figured, all right, I got to do something different. I need a little bit of leverage. And so I went and got a job at OSF, Jump Simulation, PRN, which meant that I could take work whenever I wanted. And the role was to pretend I was a patient for residents who were learning bedside manner and things like that. And so while I was in this before it work stage, I shared this with nobody. I didn't tell anybody what I was doing. Like, if somebody noticed me at OSF, I would like duck my head.
Right.
I was so embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
But now when I look back, it got me through building my client book up, building my business, being able to do whatever it took as long as it aligned with my moral compass, made some money, and it got me through. And so at the time, I would have definitely explained that as a spill. And I still look back on it as being such a tender part of my entrepreneurial story. But I want to encourage your listeners that if you are in that before it work stage where your business isn't quite to the point where you want it to be, or you want to take it full time and it's not there yet, keep, like you just said, connecting with community, taking one step forward, one foot in front of the other and pushing through, because you
Absolutely.
will meet that point, that breaking point where you don't have to do the take the job, take the coffee
Right.
or the whatever job, the cleaning job, whatever it is to make the business work.
Yeah. And I love that you even touched on that, because I want us to understand that this is not a race. You know, it is something that it's our purpose, it's our legacy, it's our why, and those are three things that I want you to always remember on those days where you're like, why am I, what is this for? I haven't made any money. I haven't generated any sales. Always go back to the why. Always go back to the purpose. Always go back remembering what you're doing it for. You're doing it to create the legacy. A legacy does not happen overnight, so whatever that looks like for you. But I also want to make sure that I say, be okay, because as Francie said, in her journey, she had to figure out what worked for her. Even though she started with this, she ended up shifting into this, and she has created an amazing platform, not only for us here in the community, but virtually as well. And we will definitely make sure that information will be in the podcast notes. So if you guys are interested in joining us over in the community, you will definitely have the option to do so. So I want you to just be intentional in understanding that, hey, your journey is going to be different from everybody else, but it's still your journey. But you have to make sure that you are aligned with your journey and your purpose. Let them know where they can find you at on social media.
Sure. Founding Females Co. Website is foundingfemalesco.com. And that has information about our meetups, our mastermind, our annual conference that we do, and all the resources to help women take that next best step in entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. And any final words for our audience?
Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing, for pouring into the entrepreneur community. You're a light. You are just a source of motivation and encouragement. I really appreciate you.
And I appreciate that. That means so much. She tried to make me cry out here, y'all. But listen, you guys, it's all about what we want to do as entrepreneurs, what that looks like for you. So just make sure you stay intentional, stay focused, okay? Hope this episode gave you some insight and gave you some inspiration to say, you know what? I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, Make sure, again, that you have subscribed. Make sure that you follow Francie. Make sure that you check out the website. Again, all of those details will be in the podcast notes, okay? If you are somebody who is a startup entrepreneur, if you're thinking about entrepreneurship, I want to hear from you, okay? Definitely leave your comments below. Let me know what you think of this episode, all right? I'm going to get out of here. I appreciate you again so much for being here. Thank you for being the blessing that you are.
Thank you.
And we out of here, y'all. We'll talk to you later.